This is not a review of the Fuji X100VI. This is a public service announcement.
It is with the utmost pride and sincerity that I present this recording as a living testament and recollection of history in the making during our generation.
Allow me to reintroduce myself. My name is O, H to the O-V. I used to move snowflakes by the OZ. I guess even back then you can call me CEO or the ROC. Ho, fresh out the frying pan into the fire. I'll be the music biz #1 supplier.
But it costs $1,600. And that's before the inevitable resale value kicks in. So I'm here to answer a very simple question. Is this camera worth buying? And to put it simply, no. No, it's not.
So yeah, guys, that about does it for this video. Then make sure you hit subscribe, hit the like button, hit your mom in the face.
Okay, but wait, I'm not finished. Is this camera worth buying? No. Could you get a camera for half the price that gets you the same image quality as the X100VI? Yes. Are these cameras professional grade cameras? Absolutely not. I would never take this thing on a professional shoot. Let me be clear. These cameras are luxury consumer items. You don't buy them because you're a professional. You buy them because you're a mindless consumer. And if there's one thing that this great nation has taught me, it's that I can never have enough things. And that if something is trending and I don't have it, there's a very decent chance that I will die as a result. Money comes and goes, but film simulation JPEGs that you post on your Instagram feed, those are gonna last forever. Okay, but seriously, I'm so sick of talking about this camera, and I'm even more sick of hearing about it. Content creators have milked the ever-living crap out of the X100V. And so you might be saying, Hunter, didn't you give into the hype and buy an X100V? And didn't you say you were selling it in another video? And worst of all, are you making a video about a camera that you don't even have just because it's a trending topic? Anyways, like I said before, I don't have the X100VI, but what I do have is the X100V, which leads me to my first point. If I was making the decisions at Fuji, I would have called it the X100Z. I think that sounds a lot cooler, and it already fits in with their already existing naming convention of naming the cameras after a letter instead of a Roman numeral or a number. Or so I thought, and then I did some research and found out that the past versions of this camera, the X100, the X100S, the X100T, and the X100F, the letters stand for second, third, and fourth. And then I guess this is when they must have realized that fifth and fourth start with the same letter, so they couldn't call the fifth version the F as well, so they just slapped the Roman numeral 5 on it. But of course, the Roman numeral 5 looks like a V, and all the other cameras had letters in their names, so why wouldn't you think it's a V? It just makes the whole thing more confusing. But whatever. If Fujifilm wants to name their cameras like how Fast and Furious names their movies, that's their decision, and I respect it. I know that might seem like a weird tangent to go off on, but that brings me to the point I'm trying to make here. These cameras are weird. They're targeted to hobbyists, but are priced like professional cameras. And when you consider the scale that all new professional cameras fall on these days, the X100VI continues to be extremely unconventional, and it doesn't really fit anywhere on this scale. But I think that's because it exists on an entirely different scale.
Was a boy who was a dreamer, and he flew so high and proud. In a world full of people out, cut his young ass down. No one ever understood a single word he said, and I cast him to the wolves when he wasn't well and fed.
You see, there's two types of people who buy cameras. There's professionals who purchase professional grade cameras because it allows them to perform their job at the highest possible level. But then there's non-professionals, the hobbyists, the people who buy what I'll call consumer grade cameras. They're normal people who just like to document their life.
So don't stop going south, 'cause they'll let you play your music real damn loud. Don't stop heading south, 'cause they won't understand the words that are pouring from your mouth. Don't stop going south. They won't understand the words that are pouring from your mouth. Don't stop going south, 'cause they'll let you scream your music real damn loud.
But there's still always been a factor that separates these two types of cameras, and that is the price. Usually, cameras targeted at hobbyists or non-professionals won't ever really pass the $1,000 price range. Professional grade cameras will obviously always be more expensive than consumer grade cameras, at least for now. And the X100V and the X100VI cameras are not something I would call professional cameras. Don't get me wrong, they take fantastic photos, and the X100VI looks like it takes amazing videos, but they don't have interchangeable lenses, they're not full frame cameras, they don't do well in low light, and they overheat pretty easily. It's never going to replace something like a Nikon Z9 or a Sony FX3. And for a long time, cameras have either been targeted at everyday people and cheap, or targeted at professionals and expensive. But the X100 cameras are targeted at everyday users, and they're expensive. But as we've already seen, Fujifilm is not following the same rules as its competitors. There seems to be no reason that someone should spend $1,600 on a consumer grade camera. But as we saw with the X100V, people are going to do it anyway. This camera breaks the consumer scale and proved normal people were willing to spend up to $2,200 on an extremely capable but still non-professional camera just because it was that good and that fun to use. Fuji redefined what's possible with this camera. They changed the entire consumer camera market once they had a little help from the internet. There's no doubt in my mind this is going to be one of the highest selling cameras of 2024. But why? Why are people going to buy it? This is something I don't even need to talk much about because everyone on YouTube has already talked about why they love this camera. But in short, you buy this camera for the experience. You buy it because it's a vibe. You buy it because it's fun to use. I love my X100V, and I'd love to have the X100VI. It takes as good videos as this takes photos. I would have as much fun taking videos with it as I have taking photos with this. But I'm not going to spend $1,600 when I already have an X100V and a Sony a7C II, which is much better and provides all the professional qualities I need in a camera for me. If you don't have an X100V and you've been wanting to buy one, I would say you should definitely just get the X100VI. They're great cameras, and all things considered, with the gouging of resale prices, the fact that they only brought the price up $300 is not a big deal. Shipping for the X100VI is expected to start February 28th, and I guess we'll see if Fuji is able to keep up with the demand, but they've had a few years to prepare for this now, so I think they're going to be able to. What I'm more interested to see, though, is if other camera brands like Sony and Nikon are going to try to follow suit and make their own version of an X100V. Make their own version of a premium grade consumer camera, not targeted at professionals, but targeted at everyday people who just want a really cool camera. But then again, maybe that's a market that only Fujifilm can fill. I think that's what makes the Fujifilm brand so special. We don't know what the future holds for premium consumer grade cameras like this. But if people keep buying them, and if Fujifilm keeps making them, and if the TikTokers keep TikToking, there's no end in sight.
IdentifyEPI.com, sponsored by AbbVie.
Why are there so many ads on the radio? I've listened to 5 songs and I've been driving for like 30 minutes. I've re-recorded this part 3 times because my mic wasn't working, and then I thought it was working, and then it still wasn't working. So no, this is my 4th time doing it, so that's fun. And something happened today. It was my fault, but the situation could have been mitigated.